Hey, what's up? It's Taylor with Tilth Soil, and today we're at Frayed Knot Farms visiting one of our farmer friends, Emily.
Hi!
So Emily, why don't you tell us about Frayed Knot Farm, where you're located and what you're growing?
I'm Emily, and we're about 30 miles outside of downtown Cleveland in Newbury in Geauga County, and we mostly grow cut flowers here.
I'm excited to go check it out.
Yeah, let's go.
I see this big pile.
This is Wendell.
This is
Our
Wendell?
buddy Wendell. Yeah, this last fall, and used it to amend some of the beds, and we'll use it this spring as well to prep some of my beds to get some seedlings in.
This wonderful Wendell compost. Frayed Knot Farm, where does the name come from?
So the farm name came from my grandfather, who previously stewarded this land. My grandfather always used to tell really funny jokes, and he particularly told the one about the string. So basically the punchline is frayed knot. I'll let you fill in the blanks, and maybe you've heard it before, but yeah, he just really brought a lot of joy through those funny jokes. So when I was thinking about the farm name, it just felt kind of right to name it after his name. But it's also come to mean like a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I do weddings and events through flowers, and people say, you know, the knot is like a term for weddings, so that's kind of funny.
Yeah. All right, so we have things growing in here in the greenhouse, and then back in this room, I see that there's seedlings in trays. As a home gardener, somebody who just buys transplants from the nursery or my other favorite Cleveland farmers, I don't know anything about starting plants from seed. If I was interested in doing this, how would I go about doing that? Would you mind showing us a demonstration of how you start all of these beautiful flowers from seed?
Yeah, for sure. So soil blocking is literally just making blocks out of soil. You do need some kind of tray to put them in. Some people use also like wire racks too, but I find that these like lunch style trays work the best because they hold water. You're gonna start off with these smaller blocks to get your seeds germinated, and then you're gonna use these larger blocks to transplant the smaller into when they start to outgrow the smaller ones.
As you were saying, it's super important for seeds to germinate. You should be using a smaller cell. It helps with germination. And the idea being you can start in a smaller soil block and then transplant up as required.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure your soil is like at a good consistency, that it's like holding together. So this is a good like kind of indicator that like I just push this gently and it held together. If it's crumbling, then the blocks are gonna crumble.
Okay.
So, but just press down on this side part and just wiggle into the soil, and then I usually just take another clump to add to it and then rub it until it's flat, just to make sure, similarly to how you use the trays, you want to make sure there's no air pockets, because otherwise when you try to go print it, if you will, on your tray, then it will kind of crumble and not be consistent. When you're done with that, you're gonna place on your tray. So I usually try to get it as close to the edges so I can make the efficiency of space, and then you press down on the lever, and then I do it a couple times before I lift up, just to make sure that all the soil is out. Lift up, ta-da!
Little soil blocks.
Little soil blocks.
And that's why they call it soil blocking.
Exactly, and so they should be contained enough where you could literally pick them up. And yeah, the way that you water these is just gently adding a little water on the sides, and then the soil blocks will just from the bottom soak up all the water. So this is the hard part sometimes for newer growers, is just to get this balance right, and you just want to make sure you're putting just enough so that the soil blocks get enough water, but not too much where you like are literally washing them away, and then it becomes a big soil soupy mess.
So now as these seeds start to grow, you had mentioned that they need nutrients, so they need to go into a bigger soil block to keep getting that. Are you just continuing to use sprout, or are you adding any amendments to that?
Definitely don't need to add anything. Sprout has everything that you need, in my experience, to germinate and get seedlings to a good spot before they need to go on the ground.
All right, Emily, thank you very much for giving us our tour of Frayed Knot
course.
Flower Farm today. As we wrap up, I want to ask a couple of questions. Number one is, what's the biggest misconception people have about flower farming?
I think the biggest misconception is that I'm skipping out in the meadows, just gathering flowers into a basket. And while I have done that, it's not a typical day, and there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that go into this work. And so the flowers are beautiful, but can often disguise like how hard this actually is. And it's still farming, it's still humans doing this work with really razor thin margins. So I think it's just important for me to share that, you know, there's a lot of heartbreak that comes along with farming, just as much as the joy that the flowers bring.
Those beautiful flowers that you see at the store, there's a lot of hard work and hours that went into that.
For sure.
Folks want to get your flowers from Frayed Knot Flower Farm. Where do they go to get your flowers?
They can go to frayeddknotfarm.com/CSA. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Instagram at Frayed Knot Farm or email also at frayeddknotfarm@gmail.com.